Welcome to Parent Academy Real Talk on Substance Use. I'm Mary Beth Stapleton, Family and Community Partnerships here with Marcus Webster, who oversees the Office of Drug Control Policy. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So this is a really important topic for parents to really understand how do we give guardrails to our children when it comes to substance use, especially with the introduction of cannabis and the new laws around cannabis. So we really just need to kind of give a refresh for parents about how do we keep our children from using substances. So Thank you so much for being here.
It's an absolute pleasure.
So talk to us about what does the Office of Drug Control Policy do to help parents prevent their children from using substances?
Absolutely. So we provide a lot of education. I'd say primarily through our community outreach and engagement. We are very much in the schools and any opportunity to engage with parents directly and meet them where they're at. We provide mental health and substance use education, resources, linkage to community organizations and providers, and just act as really a bridge to help educate and inform our parents and help them understand what's really happening.
Great. And thinking about that for parents, understanding what's happening, when does a parent start the conversation with their child about substances? When do you really start to be intentional about making sure you're starting to provide, how you feel as a family when it comes to substance use?
Absolutely. So I like to say it's never too early to start having that conversation.
Oh.
The conversation will look different as your child grows up. But we really encourage our parents to start having conversations and planting those seeds about what it means to be healthy, what it means to make right choices as early as preschool and elementary school. We're blessed to have a wonderful website called Hartford Talks, where we give our parents conversation starters for those children that were in preschool and elementary school to start saying, what does it mean to be healthy? What does it mean to make the right choice? And as they progress and they're exposed to perhaps peers who are using substances or family members or any other experiences, we give our parents those tips and conversations, and as they get older, those conversations should become deeper.
And when you talk about those deeper conversations, what are some prevention strategies parents can really start to do with their children, to keep them from experimenting, right? When they're starting to get into that, early middle school age, what are some things that they can do to prevent their children from even starting?
I think the best answer is to be open and have that conversation.
Okay.
And in my experience of working with adolescents and now in this role as the administrator, one thing that I've learned is that, our kids, particularly those who are impacted or are experimenting with substances, often don't feel heard and they don't feel comfortable having those conversations. I myself understand that through my lived experience as well. When we create open, comfortable dialogue and to talk about our struggles, our challenges, our societal pressures, that we can create healthier outcomes. Honestly, our kids are experimenting with substances when they want to feel that connection. And often it's through their peers who may be engaging in some other things or exposure in the home as well. So I really just encourage our parents to be open, to have conversations, to acknowledge that substance use can and may occur. And that's okay, as long as we can provide that safe space to have open conversations and implement strategies for prevention or perhaps intervention as well.
So if a parent is starting to have a sense that substance use could be happening, what are some signs and symptoms that maybe their child is starting to experiment? What are some things they might start seeing in the home?
So I think there's the classic ones, the withdrawal, maybe social isolation, maybe hanging with maybe those kids, drops in grades, drops in attendance. But often we see other signs. Some of our kids may be doing really well in school, but still may be getting to experiment. So I think, it's important for us to understand what our kids are going through. What pressures are they facing? Are they facing traditional peer pressure? Are they maybe hanging out in wrong environments? Are we aware of what our kids are doing on the day-to-day? And are we providing space to communicate and have open discussions about what that looks like, whether it involves substances or not?
Right. And so thinking about that, if a parent is concerned that some of the things you just described, they are seeing, right? Their child perhaps starting to dabble. What are some things they should do immediately? So what's kind of the first step if you think, I think something's up here? I know you have the relationship with your child and you talk with your child, but in addition to that.
Absolutely. So I think the first step, of course, is to have the conversation. Number two is to pursue linkages to care. We do have a wonderful resource list available on our ODCP website where parents can look for information on how to provide support for their kids. And I want to refer back to the Hartford Talks website where, it provides those resources, those support, those tools as well for parents to have the conversation, pursue opportunities for whether it be counseling support, for after-school program and mentorship support. There's wonderful programs that exist within Harford County Public Schools to connect our kids who may be struggling with substances as well to individuals with lived experience to have those conversations and navigate challenges as well.
Great. Well, sounds like there's a lot of resources available through your office, and so we really appreciate your time. And we know that as parents, it's not necessarily the way it used to be, right? I remember when I was coming up as a teenager, it was just say no.
Right.
Those days are gone, right? We need to have
Absolutely.
conversations. We need to be open rather than just kind of shutting down the conversation.
Yes.
Great.
Completely agree with that. I often like to joke that I grew up in the tail end of the DARE generation, and as heavily as we push those kind of prevention activities, my generation still succumb to the disease of addiction and still experiment with substances. And I've lost count of how many friends I've lost due to this crisis. But as long as we can provide hope, remove that feeling of isolation and promote connection, whether it's in the home, whether it's in the school, or with community organizations and partners, which we have plenty in Harford County, wonderful ones, that we can start to change the turn and break these generational cycles.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for being here, and thank you for your vital work in the community. We appreciate you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us, parents. We'll see you next time on Parent Academy Real Talk.